I'm sorry I'm a little late. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me and see me? Thank you, Meir Zev. You're helpful. Good morning, Avram Baruch. Good morning, Rabbi Yisrael. Good morning, Meir Zev. Good morning, Shalom Dave Bed. Good morning, Bedel. Good morning, Chaim Shalom. Good morning, Menachem Mendel. Good morning, Eliezer Tzvi. And good morning, Menachem Mendel Ezra. Now, Rabbi say, I put up another sheet. I did nothing to the other sheet except remove the first four questions. Nachman said, how'd you get into 770? I know the answer. But if you're going to already be in Beis Chayenu, why should it not be full of people? Rabbi said, I put up the sheet, again, today's sheet. I made one shinui. I made a tiny shinui. I changed it from number 26 to 27. And I took away the first four questions. In other words, the questions that you were supposed to answer in yesterday's sheet, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I did not repeat. So you'll know what has to be done today. Now, what I say, today we're going to learn inside. Okay, yesterday I gave you a lecture. I did a lot of talking, as they say in the real world. And I'm hoping today we'll do a lot of learning. Okay, what happened in yesterday's class? We'll go straight in. We'll jump straight in, okay? In yesterday's class, I talked about the Inyan HaShvachim. And I explained to you that the Inyan HaShvachim is a sugya arucha v'arucha b'dach. The whole concept of praise is a lengthy discussion in Chassidus. Chassidus dedicates a zman misuyam and a limud misuyam and an Inyan misuyam to the sugya of Shvachim. Right, and my recollection is that you have in the Sofas of Teirei Vayechi, I don't know if was Maliktis made in cup, but it's in a lot of places in Chassidus what's called the sugya of Shvachim, of praise. Okay, now of course the sugya of Shvachim is two basic examples that are different. There are two models of Shvachim that are different. What are the two models of Shvachim? The first is by a person, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the biggest tzaddikim. And the second is Shvachim B'Kvayachol by the Eibishter. That's how the Maimorim, when the Maimorim present you the sugya of Shvachim, that's how it's presented, that there's two Kdorim of Shvach. Shvach how it is by a person, and Shvach how it is Kvayachol L'mayla. What is the difference? The difference is that a person the Eibishter created, the Eibishter Bashaf, the Eibishter made people, yeah? A person Hashem made, when the Eibishter made people, he made people with koiches misayamim. The Eibishter made people with certain strengths, with certain possibilities, with certain promise, with certain efshariyes v'chuli. Now, included in the possibilities that the Eibishter created people is what we call keches ne'alamim. The Eibishter made people that should be able to reveal hidden faculties, right? You have chokhmah gluya, you have chokhmah ne'alama, you have chokhmah atzmis. There's different madregas. There's helim, there's etzem, there's yochoiles, right? In a person, there's kama madregas of every koyach. There's close it's four: keich golu, keich ne'alam, keich atzmi, and yochoiles. The Eibishter created a person that way. Or to say it in different words, slightly different words, by a person, there's esev eleitesha, esev eleyachadoser. The Eibishter has Sfiras Ein Ketz. The Eibishter has Sfiras Ein Ketz. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai doesn't have Sfiras Ein Ketz. Even on the level of Yochailas. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was created by the Eibishter in this universe, in this world, based on the principles of esev eleitesha, esev eleyachadoser. 10 koiches, 10 midas, 10 spheres. So the Melech Chassidus says like this: when you are, I'm using Yiddish, rufen arois, when you're calling out a koyach from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, there's different madregas. Sometimes you're calling out a koyach, which is only helim. If you want to call a koyach, which is helim, you don't really have to give him too much shevach. You don't have to give him too much praise, because it's korev alagili. Sometimes you want to call a shevach, not koyach ne'elam, but koyach atzmi, which is even higher than koyach ne'elam, even less mitziyazdik. So you would need to give him a shevach. Sometimes you want to reveal a koyach, which is not even your koyach, it's your choiles atzmis. So it's even deeper. So you have to have more shevach. But by a person, even a person like Rashbi, there's no such thing as calling out a koyach, which the Eibishter has not already put in there, either on the madreg of koyach galoy or koyach nelam or koyach atzmi or yecheles. In other words, what I'm telling you is that by shevach, by a person, the Eibishter already put the koyach there. We're just bringing it min a koyach elapel. Shvachim by a person on any level. If you're familiar with the sugis, the shmancy fancy or the fancy shmancy l'shenis nechzidus, by a person it's shaykh. The highest madrega, which is shaykh by a person, is called shem mois loshen rabbe. But it's not shaykh, it's shem loshen yochid. They don't have that madrega. Therefore, by a person, when you're calling out a shevach, a midah of a person, by mishabeachim, whatever madrega of shevach you're going to give, and whatever level of nalam koyach you're going to be magala, you're being magala something that the Eibush already created. So the midas by a person already are. You're simply being magala them. Or to say a different word, the midas by a person already are in some level of mitzias, or mahus, or inyan, before you call them out. But by the Eibush is different. Why? Hashem is ein safe. Hashem is ein safe. Ein safe means he's echad, one. And ein safe means by the Eibush is the infinite sphere saying Kates, infinite spheres. Now, if you've learned Samach Vov, and I would imagine you haven't yet, but you will in Mirza Hashem. If you've learned Samach Vov, you know that there's a Zayar, which is quoted to explain the inyan of Sfira saying Kates. It's called Antu Chad V'lei B'chushban. Kahai Butzina. De'espashet b'chol star v'iber. V'katestakel bei leminde b'hoin. Loi tishtakach ela butzina de'nehoira choda. I think that's word for word, but I haven't seen this maimed in a long time, which means this, like a candle who fills an entire light with room. And when you go to look to see where did all this light come from, you find Naheira de Betzina Chad. There's only one candle. Infinite and one are two sides of a coin. Since by the Eibush there's a madregi which is called Sfira Sein Kates, and again in the fancy schmancy world of my maskilim, this is called shame, which is higher than shemois. Shemois loshen rabim you can have by a person. But Shem Lashon Yochad, which is even higher than Shemus Lashon Rabim, you cannot have by a person. So the inyan of Shvachim by the Eibishter is higher than Shvachim by a person. And I want to tell you the Lashon HaChasidus. I want to tell you how Chasidus says it. Now the Higoyin and the Lomdis is an Iyun, which is really beyond. In other words, we're not going to go into the Arichat Shebedava. You want to learn it, you can learn it in Samach Vov. There's a Maimah from the Rebbe Amugedike. It's one of the most haskodik Maimorim. Tavshin Chav Hey, I believe. I taught the Maimon last year on the yeshiva.net. It's based on Ayin Beis. He speaks about the difference between Shem and Shemus. Chassidus would say the following words. When you are Mishabeach a person, you're Megala Koiches. When you're Mishabeach the Eibishter, you're creating Koiches. That's the Lashon. I'm going to say it again. When you're Meshabeach a person, you're Regala Koyach. At the Eibishter put there. When you're Meshabeach the Eibishter Kvayachol, you're creating a Koyach. And the Havana is a posheter. A person already has a Metzias, even the greatest person, on the deepest and highest levels. The Eibishter created him. And the Eibishter gave him a definition, which ultimately comes down to, like I said before, Esav Eleitesha, Esav Eliachados, the Eibush has 10 koiches, not more. A person has only 10 koiches. So even in the Madrig of Yochailis, which is called Shemais, the Eibush that put the koyach there, you're revealing it. But when you're Meshabeach the Eibush there, it's not only the Pshat you're revealing a koyach, you're creating the koyach. Why? Because in the Eibush it's one. Svidus ain't Kates. And Nuhaira de Batzina Chade are two sides of a coin. Spheres, infinite spheres, and the idea that all those infinite are one light are two sides of a coin. So when you call him chesed or chaston, you're being megale from that echad, from that nahayda the betzina chada, midas chesed, spheres chesed, oira chesed. So by the Eibishter, the shevach is even higher than the shevach is by a person. And like I said, this is the standard gisha to the sugi of shvachim. And, this is, I guess, one of the things that I do. Every yeshiva bacher learns Gemara, learns Nigle, knows that Nigle goes in sugis. And that zivitera ashira b'mokam echad and aniyim b'mokam acher, the faked. In other words, sugis are all over the shas, right? What are you guys learning now? I should know, right? You're learning Kedushin? What Masechta you're learning, yeah? Kedushin. So in Masechta Kedushin, the sugi of shlichus. It's not the only place in Shas the sugi of shlichus. It's one of the places in Shas. It's got the big arichas and the sugi in shlichus. You learn a different Masechta Gittin. You'll have different pratim in the halachas of shlichus. And if a person wants a sugi of shlichus properly, he has to learn it from Kedushin, he has to learn it from Gittin, he has to learn it from all the other Masechtas where shlichus is discussed. In Kedushin, one of the biggest sugis of Kedushin is Kinyanim. Kinyanim, the whole first perek is Kinyanim, right? The same sugi of Kinyanim, you also have in Bava Basra. You want to know Kinyanim, you have to learn here. It's how it works, yeah? Chassidus the same thing. Chassidus goes in sugis. But it's not Mesichtis, it's Maimonim, or Emsheichim. There is a sugya of Kinyanim, of Shvachim. It's a sugya. It's a chefze, it's an Indian. And like I told you, it's discussed often, not always, but often, in conjunction with the Zayar about the B'Shem B'Yachai making it rain by saying Hinimata v'Manoi Mishav v'Zachar v'Yochad. But that's by no means the only place. You have the Sugya Shvachim and Kama Makemis. So if a person wanted to do the Sugya research of the Sugya of Shvachim, he would take out a Mafteach in Yonim and look up the word, and he'd find a bunch of plays with Ian's discussed. He'd learn a little bit of here, as they gesund, because it would be too much information. Yeah, but you'll find in the Sugya of Shvachim there's certain standard signoinim. And one of the standard signoinim in the Sugya of Shvachim, no different than the Sugya of Shlichus, is that we make a klau. There's a difference between shevach by a person and shevach by yochel l'mayla. Because shevach by a person, the midah is already there, the Eibush to put it there. You're simply being megala it. Shevach by the Eibush, you're mamish creating it. Mamish creating it. Ubamele. Now that I gave you this introduction, when we learn our Maimed, and we have the unanswered question from Rabbi Shimshon Dekinan Zal, which is brought in Shas Shuvas Harivash. And what is the teretz that he gives? Inyan HaHalil. What's the teretz? Inyan HaHalil. And again, this is the lashon of the Tzemach Tzedek, Inyan HaHalil. I am telling you, and God forgive me for making a mistake. If I'm making a mistake. I don't think I'm making a mistake. Even though the Tzemach Tzedek uses the word Hilul over here, this is standard. It's not called Hilul, it's called Shevach. And like I already mentioned to you yesterday at the end of the Shir, that in this Sefer Derech Mitzvah there's a Maimer Mitzvas Halal. There's a very big difference. There's a fundamental difference between Mitzvas Halal, which is Halal is one of the Shev Mitzvahs Derabanan, as you know, right? No Besimcha. The Rebbe has an Ha'ara in Tafshin Tes, where he lists the Shev Mitzvahs Derabanan, right? There's Erevin, and there's Halal, and there's Broches, and there's Netilas Yadayim, and there's Chanukah, and there's Purim, and I'm missing one. But do you know that there are in Zohar, for example, in some of the Rishonim, count the Rabbanans as the Eraises. There are Shitas who hold that even though Halal was written in Tilim by David HaMelech, and according to the Gemara, the first perek of Halal was already said by Moshe Rabbeinu and Yeshua ben Nun and so on. There are those who hold that Halal is the Erais. Now, we don't paskin Halal is the Erais, but nevertheless, Kiyadua, the famous Rambam, we say Asher Kedushanah b'Mitzvah Hatefilla by all the Mitzvahs Derabanan, right? When you make an Eirev, you say Asher Kedushanah b'Mitzvah Hatefilla. When you light the Chanukah candles, you read the Megillah, you say Halal, you wash Netilas Yadayim, you make Shabbos candles, Neiras Shabbos Kedesh Yom Tov, you say Asher Kedushanah b'Mitzvah Hatefilla. It's not true. The Eibush was Makadosh Mitzvah, the Chacham Makadosh Mitzvah. So there's the famous Rambam, where the Rambam says that since it says in Chumash You're mechuyev to listen to whatever the Chachamim tell you. So that's included in Ashek Deshana Mitzvah V'tzivanu. But there are days where that halals are deraisa. But I want to make this point. Mitzvahs halal is higher than this. And I'm just going to say fancy words. Mitzvahs halal is mamshech from kesed. The whole concept of halal is higher than Seder Ishtalshlos. Which is why you don't say halal every day. Because the sugya of shemis that we're talking about is dafka atzilas, not higher than atzilas. Or to say it in the language of this maimed, mitzvahs halal is beklolos and the gedder of those people that they have what lashon the maimed inside. Zechus gadol v'yotzum. Remember we had that lashon. Zechus gadol v'yotzum, that the Eibusha should respond to them without knowing the kavanah shemis. Halal is on that madrig. Mitzvahs halal, that you're not allowed to say every day, because the Gemara says kol ha'ema halal b'chol yom is being mamshach from ein safe keser. Here halal is what's normally called shevach. Now, why did Tzemach Tzedek uses the lashon halal rather than shevach? Even in the memorim of the Alter Rebbe, like I mentioned in Teira Erev Vayechi and the Yisafis, there's a maimed Vanina Sati. I'm almost positive. I did not look it up, but there's a sugi of shevach in Teira Eid, in the Yisafis of Vayechi, the Hanochas of the Mittel Rebbe, and there the Alter Rebbe uses the lashon shevach. Medachtzach. Now that I'm talking so much, let me take out the book and look inside. No, my Teira Eid is not here. It's upstairs. I'm not going to go get it. I'm sorry. My Teira Eid is not here. It's upstairs. So I'm going to be mevater on this. But I'm almost positive that even by the Alter Rebbe they call it shvochim. So why the Tzemach Tzedek calls it hilul, which creates a confusion, because there's a difference between the hilul over here and mitzvahs halal, which is discussed by Zunder and Chassidus. I don't know, and it's a tzarachi. It's not a gadol, it's a tzarachi cotton. But let's get to the maimed. Okay, I just spent another 20 minutes talking, and I promised you that I would creep right in. But understand that we're learning a inyan. It's only a perek in our maimed, that in other places in Chassidus is a sugya arucha v'arucha, but an ayin and an aleph, called shevach. And shevach means aroy surufen, to bring out hidden koyach. Let me tell you a maaseh. No need to tell the story. Just bittul teira, just pater inside. But it's a sweet story, and it's tzricha limud. It's a story that be'emes kemen lenin. It's a davar yadua. It's a davar yadua mefursim, and you can see it even in Igros Kodesh. In other words, this is documented. You don't have to have hearsay. That the Rebbe Zalguzan and our Rebbe was negeya very much to give a nachas ruach to the Frierdiker Rebbe. Posha to make him feel good. Because the Rebbe felt, as a posh, I'm getting gesund. So the Rebbe had a campaign that if the Rebbe had an Eidim, like the Rebbe had, that campaign would have continued by our Rebbe, to find every excuse to say something nice to the Frierdiker Rebbe about his work. One of the classic examples was Yud B'Stamus Tavshin Zayin. Yud B'Stamus Tavshin Zayin. Yud B'Stamus Tavshin Zayin. Yud B'Stamus Tavshin Zayin was a Yevel Meshulish. Yud B'Stamus was a Yevel Meshulish. Yud B'Stamus Tavshin Hey. Tavshin Hey was a Yevel Meshulish. Why? He was born Yud B'Stamus 65 years before. His father was Machnise Bebris. As the Lashon is, ich nehmte to the Akedah. The Rebbe Rashab took the Rebbe Rayatz to a bris. Akedas Yitzchak. On his 15th birthday, when he spoke about even Askonas and Mesiris Nefesh, and it was 18 years since he was released from prison. So it was 65, 50, 18. And the Rebbe wrote letters to Anash all over the world that they should send the Frierdiker Rebbe Mazel Tovs. But they shouldn't tell him that it was coming from him. The Rebbe said, if you tell him that's coming from me, you defeat the whole point. And Anash began to send the Frierdiker Rebbe Mazel Tovs. It was gave the Rebbe Nachas, Frierdiker Rebbe Nachas. They also made Yamot a special keren to raise money to print the Chassidus of the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's a long arichas. Anyway, so the Rebbe used to find every excuse and opportunity to tell the Frierdiker Rebbe something nice about himself. So there's a Yid whose name was Harab Avram Weingarten, Olav Sholem, Zechreni Levroch. Avram Weingarten lived in my neighborhood, lived in Crown between Schenectady and Utica. He was a very secretive man. He was a very quiet man. I remember him. Anyway, his children are shluchim and so on. Rabbi Avram Weingarten died, 20 years a long time ago. When he died, they found by him Rishimis, a journal that he kept when he was in yeshiva. It's one of the most remarkable journals kept by anybody. Now, I understand that people knew about it. His chavedim knew that he had such a journal, but I certainly didn't. Because every fabrengen he was at, every chsidish avart he heard, he wrote down. And it's poshet books and books. I always tell Talmidim, if you want to meet Reb Shmuel Levitten, Reb Shmuel, read the Tutzeir. Because Reb Shmuel was the mashpia behei hayedi in Lubavitch, in the Chetmimim in those years, in the Tafshins and Tafshin Yud, Reb Shmuel. And he was the Reish HaMadaber in Bechol Mokum, whenever there was a Fabrengen, Reb Shmuel was the Fabrengen. And Avram Weingarten used to sit by Reb Shmuel's Fabrengens and write down every word he said. And in the Rishimis you have, Reb Shmuel says to me, put the pen down and start from the Fabrengen, because as long as you're writing down what I'm saying, you're not here. And he wrote that down also, and it's printed in the Rishimis. So whether he gained or lost from writing, I don't know, but for me, I met Reb Shmuel. I didn't know Reb Shmuel. I met Reb Shmuel in the Sefer. The Mishpacha printed one krach called Nitutei Eid. Unfortunately, they had an osser, they had a gefährliche Unglück. But there's enough material for three Sfarim. And I think someplace on my computer, somebody once sent me a nish gedrikte. But 90% of this Sefer, the Nitutei Eid, is Reb Shmuel. But the other 10% is anybody who came to 770. Anybody came. There was a Fabrengen 770. Rabbi was like the reporter. He sat and he wrote. And it made it into the Sefer. He has Werther from Harav, Kremer from Montreal, and even guys who were his age, a little bit older than him. If you Fabrengen 770, there was somebody writing it down, then 60, 70 years later it was printed. There is a character in this Sefer which is mentioned very, very infrequently. And his name is the Ramash. The Rebbe Zolgudunzan, our Rebbe. It looks to me that when the Rebbe Fabrengt, Avram Weingarten wasn't there too much. And people say, Bechlal, the Rebbe's Fabrengenishin were not Sipurim, they were Teira, in Nigla, in Chassidus, in Kabbalah. There's not a lot of Rebbe, but there's a few nuggets. And of course, if you have any seichel, you get a book like that, you start to scan it for all the Ramash, to collect the Ramash quotes, because this is Divrei Arav. So in this Sefer, I think near the beginning, there's an interesting story. That Haramash Sipe, the Rebbe Tibbet erzählt, that he went into the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he told the Frierdiker Rebbe, you're listening, Chavre, you're listening, here's the point, I beat around the bush, now this is the bush, yeah, listen. Haramash Sipe, the Ramash Tibbet erzählt, the Rebbe, our Rebbe said, I went into the Rebbe the Shver, I went into the Frierdiker Rebbe, and I said to the Rebbe, ich will der Zählem dem Rebbe am Moifes von dem Rebbe. I want to tell the Rebbe a Moifes from the Rebbe himself. In other words, he went into the Frierdiker Rebbe to compliment the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Rebbe upon him, first of all, he was able to do it. Nishad in Kenner's turn. And the Rebbe was makabelit from him, Kvayoch. But the Rebbe, when they get, so he says, the Rebbe, our Rebbe says, he went into the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he tells the Frierdiker Rebbe, I want to tell the Frierdiker Rebbe Moifes about the Frierdiker Rebbe. And he says that a person came to Yechidus with a child, and if I'm not mistaken, the Rebbe told him if they should take the child to a doctor or ask questions about Yonei Refuah. The family had no idea there was something wrong with this child at all. They went in Stamazeh, and the Rebbe asked questions. The Frierdiker Rebbe asked questions in Yonei Refuah. So they went to a doctor. The child had something very, very wrong, and the Rebbe saved his life. I think that's the story. Azamin Sort Mais. So the Rebbe says to the Frierdiker Rebbe, ich will dem Rebbe erzählen am meisten wegen dem Rebbe. That the Rebbe Chassidim came in, and the Rebbe asked questions, and they went to the doctor, and the child's life was saved. So the Frierdiker Rebbe tells the Rebbe, ich habe wegen dem Gonnisch getracht. You hear? You listening? Yeah? The Frierdiker Rebbe tells the Rebbe, when I asked him questions about medicine, it was innocent. I didn't have a Ruach HaKodesh, there's something wrong with this child. I simply asked. So the Rebbe says to the Frierdiker Rebbe, if that's the case, it's an even bigger miracle. Why? And the Rebbe tells the Frierdiker Rebbe, if a Rebbe sits in Yechidus, and somebody comes in, And the Rebbe says, Kleimesht, I didn't see Beruach Kodesh that anything was wrong. And nevertheless, I asked questions, which got them to go to a doctor. And to save a person's life, that means come from Yechidah Shebenefesh. So the Rebbe says to the Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe says to the Rebbe, I forgot the wording exactly, but you can almost feel the tone of the conversation change. Dorten will ich nicht reden und dorten tar ich nicht reden. Our Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe, says to our Rebbe, in the Lashon HaPosek is Shalma Alecha Meyal Raglecha Ki Amoka Mashar Ata Adoma Sha'ata Emadele Admas Kedeshu. The Friedrich Rebbe tells the Rebbe, don't go there. The Friedrich Rebbe tells our Rebbe, you're talking about Yechidah. Chepe sich up. In other words, the Friedrich Rebbe didn't deny it. But he said, and I want to tie in this sipur to our Maimer, there's Madreges in Shemes. And there's Madreges in Shemes was dort and kriegt man nicht, you understand? If a shame is being mamshach from Helem ala Giloi, or from Etzem ala Giloi, nu, kann man einem reden, the Rebbe is a Balmoifis. When you want to speak on the deepest and the highest levels of the neshama, the Friedrich Rebbe tells the Rebbe, I forgot how it's worded, but you could, the ton is there on Ernst. You could feel that the Friedrich Rebbe became very earnest, and he said to the Rebbe, we don't go there. Now, Benegel and Nidun is because it's a higher madrege and shame. You understand? A Rebbe does a moifis, and then a Rebbe goes into him and says the Rebbe is a Baal moifis. So the Rebbe, yeah, I'm a Baal moifis, but this wasn't a moifis. Ich hab das nicht getracht. So he says, yeah, but kommt das von der nachher madrege. Says the Rebbe, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm saying back off. Don't go there. Yeah, I just digressed and I wasted time and I told a story and it defeated my purpose. Getting back to the Maimer. By a human being, every shevach is only menakeh chalapel. By the Eibishter, when you're mahalal the Eibishter, you're creating the midah. That, again, I'm telling you again, this is the signet in the Maimorim. That by a person, when you praise him, you're revealing a hidden koich that the Eibishter gave him. And by the Eibishter, when you call him by a shevach, you're creating the midah. You can't create anything. The only reason you can call it out by the Eibishter because the Eibishter is ein save. But because the Eibishter is antuchad v'lei b'chushban, so the metzias of these midas is beklal nothing, doesn't exist at all. And when you're meshabeach, or the lashon in our maimed is, when you're mahalal the Eibishter, you're being mamshechet mehelam alagiv. And let's get to the point. I just wasted another whole shiur. I just stole from you a whole shiur with nice stories. I don't think you mind, but I do. Yeah. What's the nekud this whole thing? This is the teres of the Shal Rivosh. The Rivosh quotes Reb Shimshon Mikinun Zal, or Dikinun Zal, who says, was that with lashon inside? Mi machnes eisonu b'kol zeh halei tev l'espalul stam. Even if you say that L'chavim B'Shem is a real thing, why do you want to get into trouble? Daven Stam. And the answer is because until you Mishabeach the Eibishter, the Midah of Chesed, which you need that the Eibishter Chesed with you, doesn't exist. The Eibishter is ain't safe. And if the Eibishter ain't safe, everything exists. But everything exists, like the Lashon HaZayah that I mentioned before, Kahai Nehera de Butzina, the light of a candle. The Ispashet L'chol Starbi, even the whole room is filled with light. Vikatistaka Lemindebe, you want to see where is all this light coming from? You'll find the Nehera de Butzina Chod, it's one candle. Antu Chad V'lei B'chushba. So the Tzemach Tzedek says this Rishon, Rab Shimshon, the Kinun, is making a mistake. He thinks that if you're not machnes esonu b'kol zeh, and you mispal stam, the Eibishter v'tzuporen kvayach, the Eibishter is going to connect your bakosha with his ein safe. That's going to be mashpia to you through one of his midas, al derech mashal, a king who goes to the seichen, or to the Sarah Chochma, or to the Sarah Ephim, and Sarah Masha, and gives you a bracha. It's not the way it works. Because by the Eibishter, it's not only that we're mamshech the Ein Seif into the Sfiras, we're creating this in the Sfiras, the Indian of these midas. And by creating in the Sfiras, in the midas, then it can be mislabish in the Kalim and give us mashpiyah to us. In other words, the Tzemach Tzedek is saying you have to be mechav b'shem. It's not optional. because there's a yin of Shevach, or Hilul as it's called in this Maimer. And again, this Sugi of Shevach, this is not, the Sugi of Halal is a Bazunda Sugi. Here the Tzemach Tzedek calls what is normally called the Sugi of Shvachim by the name Hilul, and I do not know why. To me it's a Tzarechir. It's a Kasha. But we're going to leave that Kasha alone because I don't have a teretz anyway. Chabshka teretz says that Kasha. It's a richtig Kasha. It's a Kasha that requires a true Talmud Chacham to answer. But the Tzemach Tzedek says he's wrong. Because when you're bechavim b'shem, it's not just that you're telling the Eibishter through which midah to be mashpiyah to you, you're actually calling that midah out of pshitas ha'atzmas. So you have to be bechavim b'shem. That's the kasha and that's the teretz. Let's read. I'm not going to read a lot, okay? I'm going to consider today a pre-davening fabreng, okay? Let's read inside the same words I read yesterday. The end of Perikас. V'omnam, however, Kushet harivosh zal, the question of the rivosh. Quote, Mimachnes eisona b'kol, why do you need it? Haletev l'spalo stam, it's bad daven stam l'shem yizbarach to the Eibishter himself v'chulu, and he will already make all the arrangements. L'tein l'leimer l''ilas ha'ilas, daven to the cause of all causes, to atzmas amhus. Kameshu l'mayle mislapshuse b'yutzfidas adayin kvayach, as he's above having any connection to Yes's fidas. V'hu yeda, he already knows. And what way he's going to satisfy our request? By going to Mitzvas Chesed v'chuli, each person according to his own request, and the Tzemach Tzedek concedes it's a good kasha. So Oktober the Rebbe, but there's a good teretz, and the teretz is tzarech lahavan in hahalo. Whereas there's the whole concept of halo, and then uses the word shem mishapchem le'yisbarach. Do we say shvachim to the Eibishter? And again, this is a little bit confusing, because the inyan halo here does not mean mitzvahs halo. I know you guys think I'm wasting your time by repeating the same thing over and over again. But forgive me for saying it. If you knew what I knew, you'd understand why you have to keep bavadening it. Because halo is the exact opposite of this. It's a different sugya. But the Tzemach Tzedek uses the words interchangeably. We praise him to bring forth the midas from a hidden state to a revealed state. And Beklal, this is true even by tzaddikim. By the Eibush, that's especially true. Until you meshabeach him, until you call him chesed, it poshit doesn't exist. He's ain't safe, but ain't safe is one. But absolute one. You want to bring forward a midah, you have to call it out of him. Let's read it inside. The ilav kain, if you're not mishabeachim, harelav mikolina midas, you call kavayachol, the Eibush has no connection to any midas. And it's not the pshat has no connection to any midas, he's not in the kalim. It's the pshat, the oid, and its pshitos is so pashit that the midah pratis, which is negated to you, doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And again, by a person like Rashbi, when you mishabeach him, the midah exists behelem or beyetzem or beyocheles, and you're bringing it forward. In other words, the Chassidus makes a clear separation. How shvachim is by a person, how shvachim is lamayla. And by the Eibishter, the shevach means until you give him this praise, that midah does not exist at all. Okay, va'yedei ha'hilul, only through this hilul mislabish behe. It's not only that the Eibishter comes into the kelim, the midah comes forward from Atzmas Hus and goes into the kelim. And the same is true, of course, when you mention the correct name. And of course, our sugi is not just mentioning the names, but lachavim b'shem. Hashayach la'sfira, who connects to a particular sfira, mislabish bo. Kvayachal alakus goes into that midah, v'yumshach bakal yeser hamavukash, and you get what you need more easily, v'chulu, and so forth. Okay? Okay, Achliyah Shevzeh, says the Tzemach Tzedek, going on. I want to make this glat. Now, L'chayda, he already answered the question. In those few lines, which are in a parenthesis, the Tzemach Tzedek already answered the question. Now he's going to explain it. To make this settle. I want to say first, what we discussed in another place about Inyan HaHalal, the idea of praise, and again, for the fourth time today, and for the fifth time altogether, Over here, Hallel does not mean the 6 kapitlach of Hallel that we say on Rosh Chodesh and on Yom Tov and on Chanukah. Because that's really a higher madreg. We mean Shevach, the L'chayda Tamua. It's a question. V'chihu yizbarach tzarach hashvachim shalom. Ich frage dir. The Eibush needs your flattery. Sh'onim v'shabchem ois, we flatter him. V'alei kol dairi ada kloch shivi. All the dwellers of the earth, all of us are compared to the Eibush to nothing. And frankly, dairi ada doesn't be dairi ada. If you live in Atzilus, you're nothing Rabbi Atzmas. V'im kein loma zen itztavinu. What would be the reason that we were given a chiyuv, a mitzvah? L'heidus l'hal, to thanks and to praise. And again, remember, there's tefillah has different parts. There's shevach, there's heidah, and there's bakosha. Bakosha is asking for your needs. Heidah means thanking Hashem for what He's given you. Shevach means to praise and flatter Him. The Eibush needs our flattery. The Eibush is chanufa. Yeah, the Chazal speaks such sharp words about chnifa. For those who learn Shaita, we had the figure of the Dal Kitas, right? Arba Kitas Einim Reim. Ne'ashchina, one of them is the Kat Chanfonim. The Eibush needs us to flatter Him. Okay? V'hagam ki yashmi, there are those people sheyoshvu inyan that want to resolve this question of why you have to flatter the Eibishter. This is classic philosophy here. V'ukedak zachech nafshei sheinu bazeh. The Eibush doesn't need our flattery. No, the Eibush doesn't need flattery. We need to flatter him. Why? Because when you acknowledge the good that the Eibush does, you develop better midas. In plain words, to be a makeh teva and not to be a kfui teva. And I always tell you that one of the first midas rois in the whole Chumash is, Rashi says, kan kofa b'teva. That Eibush says to the Merishin, why did hamin ha'etz, from the tree that I said not to eat, did you eat? And he answers right away, ha'isha, the woman, ha'isha shenasata imadi, he nas naliva, yichelas Rashi kan kofa b'teva. And you know, I heard from Bali Musar, from Darshonim, who say that for some reason, kfiyah b'teva, to be an ingrate, someone does something for you and you cannot say thank you, it's one of the worst midas rois, lamayla. And the opposite of that is hakoras hatev, to acknowledge the good that somebody does to you as a gewaltige midah toiva. So there are mefarshim who say, there are anshe machshava who say that we have to praise the Eibishter not because he needs our praise. We have to praise the Eibishter because we need to praise him to develop midas teves. Verstehst? It's a good teretz. But when you're flattering the Eibush, he doesn't need your flattery. You know, the classic ideas. And so on and so forth. Right? You learned about mitzvah maimed. So this is the whole classic derech of Chakira, non-mystical theology. That's all for us. So what is the for us in flattering the Eibush? Hakoras hatev. And to be weary of kfui teva. This is what the Rebbe says. Sheniyu, makirim, v'yedim, we should recognize and know and admit. V'tevas Hashem yizbarach ha'idefas aleinu, the good Hashem that gives us that's extra upon us. And then of course this is the famous halach, the Iker and the Rambam, the 5th Iker. V'chelei yizbarach lavade, and only the Eibishter. Hayacheles l'shanas hayesh, to change the world in any way he wishes. L'chol ha'sheyachpetz v'chuli, to any direction he wishes. Okay? So we have to be praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not that he needs our praise, but we need a zichuch, midas tevis. And then he adds noch a word. And if we're praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and not that Hashem needs our flattery, but that we need to flatter him to be mevarer our midas, and we become better midas, then we actually get more bracha. But we're not getting more bracha because we flatter the Eibush. We're getting more bracha because we're mevarer our midas. Verstehst? Chulu. So here's a classic Chakira teretz. Every sugya in Chassidus can be explained up philosophy, up seichel, up logic, and up Kabbalah. This is a logical teretz that the Rambam writes us also, that midas tevis. Right? Why hakelif reva ma'it? I bring it in Tanya. Why hakelif ma'it? Because of midas tevis, one of the inyanim of mitzvahs is midas tevis. Why do you have to flatter HaKadosh Baruch Hu so you should develop good character? That I should develop good character. So Tzemach takes a good teretz. Abarim calls I don't buy it. Be'emet. To be sure, there's got to be a tif and a teretz. Or to say it in fancy words, api Kabbalah, which is called chokhmah se'emet. So chokhmah nistar, there has to be a better reason. Yesh bazeh inyan nister v'kavan amukah. There's a Kabbalah, which we will do in Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow morning. Questions or comments? Okay. Someone has to be in charge. I don't want to be in charge. I'm going to be here in the background, but I'm not going to be able to walk around in the rooms. It says, if you have a question, you'll speak and I'll hear. Okay? I'm pushed to have work to do. So someone has to organize. Everyone should go into Chadarim for Chazara and to answer the few questions. I mean, how many questions do you have to answer on today's sheets? Question 1, question 2, question 3. That's it. 3 questions. Okay, I created a whole shir today on the fly. I mean, I wasn't planning to go into this halarichas, but the story with the Rebbe and the Frierdiker Rebbe is a fabric. You could sit the whole night on this story, huh? Where the Rebbe says to the Frierdiker Rebbe, it's a bigger moifis, and the Frierdiker Rebbe says, dorten geht man nicht. The Rebbe told the Rebbe, not me. The Rebbe told the Rebbe, Yechida off limits. Okay. If you'll need